Have you ever thought about how those $12 lunches add up over time? In this video, we'll explore the surprising impact of eating out on your long-term wealth. You'll learn how small daily expenses can turn into significant amounts, and why making different choices today can lead to financial freedom tomorrow. Let's dive in. Have you ever stopped to think about how that $12 lunch might be costing you more than just your appetite? Picture this. You're at your favorite cafe, savoring a delicious meal. But what if I told you that those seemingly small expenses could add up to a staggering amount over time? Let's say you eat out just 3 times a week. That's over $1,800 a year. Now, imagine if you invested that money instead. With an average growth rate of 6%, in 20 years, that could turn into over $60,000. Yes, you heard that right. So, the next time you're tempted to grab that quick bite, ask yourself, is it really worth your long-term wealth? If you're enjoying this exploration of finances, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Chill Finance for Real Life. Let's dive deeper together. Before we dive in, please remember that this video is for educational purposes only. It's not financial, legal, or tax advice. I encourage you to do your own research and consider seeking professional advice if you need it. Alright, now let's zoom out and explore the real cost of eating out. We often see those $12 lunches as just a small expense. But what if I told you that those small costs can add up to something much bigger over time? Let's break it down. If you eat out for lunch every weekday, that's about $60 a week. Over a month, that's $240. Now, let's say you save that money instead. If you invest those savings with an average growth rate of 6% per year, after 10 years, you could have over $15,000. That's a significant amount, isn't it? Just think about how those small daily choices can impact your long-term wealth. It's not just about the meal, it's about the bigger picture. So, the next time you're tempted by that $12 lunch, consider what you could be building instead. How could you redirect those funds toward your future? Remember, every little bit counts. It's all about making choices that align with your financial goals. And don't forget, it's perfectly okay to treat yourself occasionally. Balance is key. In the end, the real cost of eating out isn't just about the money spent today, it's about the opportunities you might be missing tomorrow. So, what will you choose? Have you ever stopped to think about how much those convenient lunches really cost you? Picture this. You're at work, it's noon, and your stomach is rumbling. You grab a quick lunch from a nearby cafe. It's just $12. Seems harmless, right? But let's take a moment to peel back the layers on that seemingly innocent choice. Now, let's imagine you do this every workday. That's 5 days a week, 4 weeks a month. In a year, you're looking at a whopping $2,400 spent on lunches alone. That's a nice chunk of change. But what if I told you that this isn't just about the money you spend today? It's about what that money could be doing for you in the future. Let's say you could invest that $2,400 instead. If you invest that amount annually at a consistent interest rate of 7%, which is a common average for long-term investments, you could really watch your wealth grow over time. Now, if you invest $2,400 each year for 30 years, your investment could grow to over $220,000. That's right, $220,000. How does that sound? All from just swapping out those $12 lunches for something a little more budget-friendly. Now, I know what you might be thinking. But I love my lunch breaks. And I totally get it. It's not just about saving money, it's also about enjoying life. But what if you could still enjoy those breaks without breaking the bank? Think about meal prepping or bringing your lunch from home. With just a little planning, you could whip up delicious meals that cost just a fraction of what you'd spend at a restaurant. Imagine spending just $3 per lunch instead of $12. That's a savings of $9 each day. Over a year, that adds up to an incredible savings of over $2,000. Now, let's see how that affects your long-term wealth. If you invest that $2,000 each year at the same 7% interest rate, in 30 years, you could accumulate over $180,000. Just by choosing to pack your lunch instead of dining out. So, what's the takeaway here? It's not just about the money you spend on lunch today. It's about the choices you make and how they impact your financial future. Every dollar you save and invest is a step toward building your wealth. Here's a little challenge for you. Next time you're tempted to grab that $12 lunch, take a moment to think about what that money could turn into over time. Could you bring your lunch a couple of days a week? Or perhaps explore local meal prep options. Every small change adds up. It's like throwing a pebble into a pond. The ripples spread out far beyond where you dropped it. Before we wrap up, let's reflect for a moment. What's one small change you can make this week to start saving? Maybe it's packing a lunch or cooking a few extra meals on the weekend. Remember, every little bit counts. You have the power to shape your financial future with the choices you make today. So, what will you choose? Imagine this. You're at work, it's lunchtime, and you decide to grab a quick meal. You spend $12 on lunch. Feels harmless, right? But what if I told you that this simple choice could have a significant impact on your long-term wealth? Let's explore this by looking at the math behind those $12 lunches over time. We'll assume an average annual return of 7% on your investments. Why 7%? Historically, the stock market has returned around this rate over the long term, which gives us a solid baseline for our calculations. Now, if you spend $12 on lunch every weekday, that adds up quickly. There are about 250 weekdays in a year. So, let's do the math together. $12 multiplied by 250 days equals $3,000 spent on lunches each year. Now, what if instead of spending that $3,000, you invested it? If you invested that amount every year at a 7% return, it would grow significantly over time. Let's see how this plays out over different time frames. In 5 years, you would have invested a total of $15,000. But with that 7% return, your investment would actually grow to about $17,500. That's a gain of $2,500 just from letting your money work for you. Now, let's stretch this out to 10 years. After 10 years, you would have invested $30,000. But with the power of compound interest, your investment would grow to around $42,000. That's an increase of $12,000. But wait, let's take it even further. In 20 years, you would have invested $60,000. Compounding at 7%, your investment could grow to about $150,000. That's a whopping $90,000 in gains. Now, let's pause for a moment. Think about this. What could you do with that money in 20 years? Maybe buy a home, fund your child's education, or retire early. This isn't just about lunches, it's about choices that can lead to financial freedom. Alright, let's recap. By choosing to invest instead of spending on lunches, you could turn a simple habit into a significant wealth-building opportunity. Instead of $12 a day, imagine investing that money consistently. Now, let's consider the impact of inflation. Inflation generally hovers around 3% annually. If we factor that into our calculations, the real value of your money decreases over time. So, while your investments might be growing, the purchasing power of that money might not keep pace. To put it into perspective, if we take our 20-year projection of $150,000 and adjust for inflation, that amount would only have the purchasing power of about $108,000 today. This shows us that while investing is crucial, being aware of inflation is equally important. Your money needs to grow faster than inflation to maintain its value. Now, let's think about how this applies to your daily life. Each time you choose to eat out, consider how that money could be invested instead. It's not just about skipping lunch, it's about making conscious choices that align with your long-term financial goals. Here's a quick challenge for you. Next time you think about grabbing that $12 lunch, ask yourself how many days you would need to skip it to reach a financial milestone. Maybe it's saving for a vacation, a new car, or even a down payment on a house. Remember, every small choice adds up. If you can find ways to cut back on unnecessary expenses, those savings can be redirected into investments that grow over time. So, what's the takeaway here? Eating out might seem like a small expense, but over the long haul, it can add up to a significant amount of money. It's all about making informed choices. Are you willing to trade those $12 lunches for the potential of long-term wealth? Before we wrap up, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What's your biggest challenge when it comes to spending on food? How do you plan to make changes in your habits? Share your experiences in the comments below. Remember, every small step you take today can lead to big changes tomorrow. Keep that in mind as you navigate your financial journey. Imagine a young professional named Sarah. At 28 years old, she works in a bustling city and often finds herself grabbing lunch from nearby cafes. Each day, she spends around $12 on a sandwich and a drink. It seems harmless, right? But let's look deeper. If Sarah continues this routine, that's about $60 a week, or $300 a month. Over a year, that adds up to $3,600. Now, let's think long-term. If Sarah invested that same amount into a savings account or an investment with an average annual return of 7%, what could she have in 20 years? Using a simple future value formula, we can see that $3,600 invested annually would grow to approximately $125,000. That's a significant amount for a home down payment or retirement. So, is a $12 lunch really worth it? Next, let's meet James. He's a father of two and works hard to provide for his family. He often takes his kids out for lunch on weekends, spending about $50 each time. It's a nice treat, but those weekends add up. If James eats out twice a month, that's $1,200 a year. Now, if he were to invest that money instead, he could accumulate around $40,000 over 20 years. Imagine the impact that could have on his kids' education or family vacations. Speaking of family, let's consider Maria, a retiree who loves to dine out with friends. At 65, she enjoys the social aspect of lunches, spending around $25 each outing. If she goes out once a week, that's over $1,300 a year. If Maria invested that money, she could potentially see it grow to about $45,000 in 20 years. That's a nice boost to her retirement fund. Now, I want you to think about your own habits. How often do you eat out? Lastly, let's talk about Alex, a college student. Living on a tight budget, he often opts for quick lunches, spending around $10 a day. If he eats out 5 days a week, that's over $2,500 a year. If Alex invested that money at 7%, he could turn it into around $85,000 in 20 years. That's life-changing for someone just starting out. These stories illustrate how those seemingly small expenses can add up over time. So, are those $12 lunches really worth the long-term cost? Imagine this: you grab a quick lunch for $12 every workday. That's convenient, right? But let's break down what that really costs you over time. If you eat out 5 days a week, that's $60 a week. Multiply that by 52 weeks, and you're spending $3,120 a year. Now, picture what you could do with that money instead. Alright, let's zoom out. If you invested that $3,120 each year with an average growth rate of 7%, in 30 years, you'd have over $250,000. That's not just a meal, that's a future. What could you do with an extra $250,000? Now, let's consider the health aspect. Eating out often can lead to poor dietary choices. Fast food and processed meals can contribute to long-term health issues. Think about it. Would you rather spend money on convenience now or invest in your well-being for the future? Next, let's talk about social dynamics. Eating out can be a social activity, but it can also create pressure to spend more than you intended. Have you ever felt obligated to join friends for an expensive meal? It's easy to get caught up in the moment. What if you suggested a potluck or a picnic instead? Another point to ponder is meal prep. Preparing meals at home can be a fun and creative outlet. Not only can you save money, but you can also control the ingredients. Imagine cooking a delicious meal for a fraction of the cost. What's your favorite dish to make at home? Let's not forget about the environmental impact. Eating out often generates a lot of waste, from packaging to leftovers. By cooking at home, you can reduce your carbon footprint. Every little bit helps, right? Finally, consider the opportunity cost. Every dollar spent on lunch out is a dollar not saved or invested. What dreams could you achieve if you redirected that money? Whether it's travel, education, or a home, your choices today shape your future. So, what will it be? Will you continue spending $12 on lunch every day, or will you take a moment to reflect on your long-term goals? The choice is yours, and every meal is a decision point. What's your next move? Imagine this. You're at a cozy cafe, enjoying a delicious lunch that costs $12. It feels good in the moment, right? But have you ever stopped to think about what that $12 lunch really costs you in the long run? Now, some might say, eating out is just a small pleasure. It's not going to break the bank. But let's break it down. If you eat out just once a week, that adds up to $624 a year. And if you invest that money instead, at an average growth rate of 7%, it could grow to over $1,000 in 10 years. So, is that lunch really just $12? Or is it a missed opportunity for long-term wealth? You might be thinking, but I don't have time to cook every day. Here's a thought. Meal prepping can save you time and money. You can batch cook on weekends, turning your cooking into a fun activity rather than a chore. Let's also consider the social aspect. Eating out can be about connecting with friends. But what if you invited them over for a potluck? You'd save money and create lasting memories in a more personal setting. Alright, now let's zoom out. What if you view eating out as an investment? Every time you choose to cook at home instead, you're investing in your future. So, I want to hear from you. What's your favorite way to save money on meals? Share your tips in the comments below. Let's build a community that values both delicious food and financial freedom. Have you ever stopped to think about the real cost of that $12 lunch? It might seem harmless, but let's break it down. If you eat out just 5 times a week, that's $60 a week. Over a month, that adds up to $240. Now, let's consider a year. You're looking at $2,880 spent on lunches alone. Alright, now let's zoom out. Imagine if you took that money and invested it instead. Assuming a conservative annual growth rate of 5%, after 10 years, that could grow to around $4,700. And that's just from skipping those lunches. Now, let's think bigger. What if you combine that with other expenses? Take a moment to reflect. How often do you grab coffee or snacks on the go? Those small purchases can quickly pile up. Here's a mini story for you. A friend of mine used to eat out every day for lunch. After a year, she realized she could have saved enough to take a vacation. Just imagine what you could do with those savings. So, what's the takeaway here? Eating out can feel convenient, but it can also drain your wallet. By making small changes, like meal prepping or packing lunch, you could save a significant amount. Now, I want to hear from you. What's your biggest challenge when it comes to saving money on food? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's start a conversation and help each other out. As we wrap up, let's reflect on the real cost of those $12 lunches and their impact on your long-term wealth. Eating out frequently can add up quickly, draining your finances. Just imagine saving that money instead, investing it for future growth. Over time, even small daily savings can lead to significant wealth. Consider the power of compound interest. Your money can work for you. Making mindful choices today can lead to a more secure tomorrow. Remember, it's not just about saving money, it's about building a lifestyle that supports your financial goals. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. Your support means a lot. And don't miss our next video, where we'll explore simple meal prep ideas that can save you both time and money. Until next time, stay chill and keep your finances real.